Now, let me ask you, why is it that at churches people always come in at 1 minute to or 1 minute past 10 o'clock?
It's Inca time.
I'm going to send out a paper to please your answers right here. Although it's a civilized time, as opposed to 2:30 in the morning when Thai food arrived. This is why I was yawning. 2:30 this morning, Thai food arrived at the front door. So the knock on the door, the dog goes crazy, and I wake up and it's my daughter, who's 20, and I said, why did you order Thai food at 2:30? And she said, with absolute brilliance, because I was hungry. Oh, God. I should have opted for celibacy, really, but too late now, really. I want to tell you a story, because when you read this gospel, it's very beautiful, actually, and very human. Sometimes we read the Gospels and we think, God, I can't grasp that, it's so beyond us. But this is the human touch. It's ambition, isn't it? It's, we want to be special, we want to be at your right and your left. But there's something else going on. It's Jesus saying, well, I can't give you that. I can't give you that, but also, can you really drink the cup that I'm going to drink out of? We'll get to more of that later. But some of it is about ambition. We want to be there, even those who know, even the followers of Jesus, those who were there at the time, who sat with him and held him and danced with him and laughed with him, and to be there, but even they wanted the special place to be left and right. So this is a story, actually, that Oscar Wilde originally told this story. I'm not sure where he got it from, he died around 1900 or so, but it was the devil. The devil is walking along in the Libyan desert. And as the devil does, I'm sure. And he's strolling along. He walks in Oakville too, believe me. And he's strolling along, and he sees two people he knows, two junior devils, two junior tempters, just out of training school. And they're sitting on the sand, and they're wailing and weeping as junior devils do. And he says, "What ails thee?" Well, he says it. He says, "What's your problem? What's the matter?" And they say, "Oh, Master, thank goodness you're here, because we've been trying to tempt this holy man." And where's that holy man standing? This devout, pious holy man, and we have tried in every way to tempt him and to make him lose his temper and lose his piety and his serenity, and we failed to miserably punish us. And the devil says, "Well, just hold on a moment." The devil's English. And could well be. And the devil walks along, and he sees this wonderfully holy man. He's serene, he's dressed in his monastic habit, smiling annoyingly. And the devil walks up to him, smiles, and just whispers. Just whispers in his ear. And walks away. And suddenly this holy man, his face goes ashen. And he jumps up and down and he swears, I can't repeat the language here, and he swears, and he gets his petrol cross and he breaks it in half and he throws it on the ground and he swears again, and he runs off into the distance of the desert. And the devil sort of straightens his metaphorical tie and walks away, and the two junior devils are worshipping. "Oh, you are the Holy One, you are the Mighty One. What did you do? What did you do?" And he said, "Well, it's very simple, really. I just casually, quietly whispered in his ear that his brother had just been made the Bishop of Alexandria." Ambition! And that's what these people are, these disciples, these friends, these intimates of Jesus. We want to be on your right and your left. And Jesus says, this is what I've always thought about this passage. He says, I can't give you that. Think ahead in the gospel. Who sits, not sits, who is at the right and the left of Jesus? It's the two criminals who are crucified with him. They are on the right and left of Jesus. We don't know what they did, and it could well be that we're getting a different view of their alleged crimes. They could have been freedom fighters, terrorist leaders, whatever your politics. But they're the people who end up on the right and the left of Jesus at the end of the story. When he talks about, I can't tell you who will be on the right and left, but can you really drink this cup? That's a metaphor, isn't it? Can you really share in the experience that I will have? And the experience is murder, execution. He will be killed. I often think of this of God creates. I don't know how. I don't know how long it took. I'm pretty sure it's anonymous in days, but I don't know. I'm not clever enough to know. I do believe that there is a good, wonderful, pristine, superb, supreme intelligence that created. How? Through evolution? I don't know, but someone is responsible for us being here. As creatures, there is a creator. And I think of God setting this process in being, and those around him, I don't know, angels, saying, you know they're going to let you down. Yeah. You know they're going to betray you. Yeah. You know they're going to behave so badly. You know they're going to kill you. Yeah. But the love is so great, the creation continues. But Jesus, God, will be crucified, the most agonizing execution known. Can you drink this cup? I believe what this passage is saying is, you know what you're asking? You're going to have to sacrifice. You will have to suffer. Now, believe me, I do not embrace suffering. The more comfortable my life, the better. And I want to die aged about 95, in my bed, surrounded by chocolate. That's the way I want to go. And my current cholesterol level, that could be at about 65 rather than 95. And there will be chocolate, that'll be the problem. But we have to be neurotic to want to suffer. I often get worried about some of the people that the Roman Catholic Church make saints, because when you look at their life, you think, oh, I don't know, really, I really want to suffer. I don't want to suffer. But I want to be there if I have to suffer. I don't want to deny or reject Jesus, and if by embracing the Son of God it means there will be sacrifice and suffering, I want to be big enough and brave enough to be willing. For most of us, we're lucky, we're blessed, we're fortunate. Whatever our challenges, we live in Canada. We live in a country where we have, to a very large extent, freedoms and privilege. But in every way there are small sacrifices to be made. Small things that we can do. I used to know, many, many years ago, back in Britain, more than 35 years ago, a Catholic priest, and he said to me once, he said, every time I walk into a room and there are various chairs, and there's a hard chair and a soft chair, I'll always sit in the hard chair. And I thought, why? The soft chair is nicer. But you know what? There was a point he was making. If there are two alternatives, a little sacrifice so someone else will benefit. And that might sound banal, but actually I think it's quite exquisite. But there are great sacrifices to be made as well. And I want to tell you a story about a couple I knew. Many years ago, I left high school in 1976. And there are people here who weren't born in 1976. I don't like you. It's fine, I'm 59. I still feel emotionally and intellectually about 9. But I'm 59. And anyway, I'm not going to that right now. The therapy comes later. But I left high school in 1976, went off to university, and there was a big party when we left high school. And it was a bit stupid, really, because all of us just moaned every day at school. We want to leave, we want to leave. As soon as you leave, you want to go back. But there was a party, and everyone was saying goodbye, and there was no alcohol. But there probably was, but there wasn't supposed to be. But there was a bit of hugging and a few tears in some of the people there. And there were friends who I knew well. My oldest friend, Steve, was the best man at our wedding, still a good friend. But by and large, you move away from a lot of school friends. And there was one couple, Jonathan and Angela. And they were known throughout the school. And when I say couple, they'd always been, no one remembered when they first got together, but they were always a couple together, Jonathan and Angela. And they weren't annoying couples. They weren't those annoying young people who say, look at us, look, we're the only people ever to have been a couple. We're the only people ever to have kissed, look at us, we're amazing. It wasn't like that, they were just there. And they were really gifted people. Jonathan was captain of the school rugby team, and he was really clever, and he was a very good-looking guy. Really handsome fellow. And Angela, again, very athletic, very clever, very attractive, long pause. Yeah, and here was the real thing. Yeah. Stop it, I've been married for 32 years. And here was the annoying thing. They were really nice people. Because if you're going to be really attractive, really clever, and really sporting, at least be unpleasant, then you can dislike them. But they were so nice, and that was doesn't quite compute. All those abilities, and you're still a very nice person. And they were lovely people, and I knew them fairly well, but not that closely. And Angela was chatting to me at this party, and she was telling me about what they were going to do in life, all their plans for their and I really, honestly, I wasn't listening to a word she was saying. And I have to be absolutely honest with you. I was 17 years old, and I think I spent the whole conversation trying to look her legs. But it was okay because I wasn't a Christian then. You're allowed to. What's the point? I wasn't married then. You're allowed to. But what I mean is I wasn't listening to her. I wasn't paying any attention to what this lovely young woman was saying to me about their lives. And that was it. And off they went and off I didn't think about Jonathan and Angela ever again. I don't think so. And then many years later, this is going back about 10 years ago, Steve, who I mentioned, who was my oldest friend, best man at our wedding, he wrote to me and he said, "Are you still coming over to Britain?" And I was. He said, "Well, do you remember Jonathan and Angela?" And I said, "Yes, I do. Yes, I remember them. Golly." He said, "Well, they're having a reunion party at their apartment. They've just come back from Africa. And would you like to go?" And I said, "Yes, I would." And he said, "Well, I'll send you the directions." And they've also sent out an attachment to read. They want everyone to read this before they come. So I got the email, and I read it, and there were the directions. This is an apartment in West London. And the attachment explained that they had lived in Africa for many years. And that Angela had been a teacher, in effect the principal, of a very small school in Africa. And that one day there'd been a fire. It was a 2-room school. There'd been a fire. And everybody had got out okay. The school was destroyed. But there was one little boy called Joshua who was trapped in a room. And then Jonathan had run back into the school to rescue this little boy Joshua. And the boy was fine, and Jonathan was okay, but Jonathan had been burned. He'd had quite a bit of burning, and they wanted people to know, so they weren't shocked when they saw him. And I went into my man of the world mode. Nothing shocks me, I've seen everything. I got to Britain, and it's the second week of my stay, and I got the address in West London. I went over to the apartment and knocked on the door. And Angela opened the door, she was more lovely than ever, and hugged me and said, "Come in, you're the first one here. Jonathan would love to see you." And I walked in, very small apartment. And I walked in, and there was a guy sitting in an armchair. And I couldn't recognize him. The scarring from the burns on his face was quite severe, and I couldn't make out his face. I couldn't find... His vision apparently was perfect, but I couldn't see his eyes. The scar tissue was so severe around his eyes that I couldn't see his eyes. That's often the first thing you look at in someone. And he'd been very handsome fellow. And I tried to register normal reaction, you know? That's what people do. Often if you know hospitals, when people visit in hospital, often they try to register, "Oh, you look fine," when someone isn't. And the person can always tell. And obviously my reaction was not normal, it was, "Oh my golly." And I probably just looked deeply, deeply shocked. And then he spoke, and I'll never forget this, because when he spoke, even though I hadn't seen him in 2 decades, his voice was the same. And I'll never forget what he said, because he said, "All right, Coren," he said, "I know I look a bloody mess, but at least one of us has kept our hair." And so I wanted to laugh like that. I wanted to laugh, but I think laughter and tears come from the same part of the psyche, and I just welled up with tears. And Angela ran to me and she hugged me and said, "Don't worry, mate, we've both done a lot of that, it's okay." And then they explained what had happened, and they were Christians. They were those annoying, irritating Jesus people who had gone to Africa to devote their lives with all of their beauty and their skill and their education. As soon as they'd finished university, they'd gone to this part of Africa where Jonathan, as a civil engineer, worked to bring clean water into the village, and Angela, as a teacher, was teaching the kids. As followers of Jesus Christ, they weren't there to convert convert anybody. Many in this village actually were Muslim. That wasn't. It was just to try and do good, to sacrifice and do good. And they'd spent most of their adult lives working in this village. And I hadn't known that because I hadn't been bothered. I was too selfish to listen. And then this little boy, little African boy, he'd been there the whole time. I hadn't seen him. It was very small, but it was like a kitchenette thing on the side of the apartment. And this little boy, African boy, he ran out, tiny little thing, and he jumped on Jonathan's lap. And he started hugging and tickling him, saying, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy." And Angela said, "This is our new adopted son. His name is Joshua." And I found out more that night about their lives as followers of Jesus Christ and the sacrifice they made. Sometimes being a follower of Jesus means we have to drink that cup. And it means we have to drink deep into the cup of sacrifice. Now, a few years ago, after the war was over, I went on a trip. Well, I was part of a group of people on a trip to Iraq. All over the country, and I was frightened almost every day, I have to say. I'm not a very brave person, I think, and there will never be complete peace in that region, tragically. And the West should be ashamed, but let's not get into that now. But whilst I was there was an attack. It was over Christmas, actually. There was an attack on a Catholic church in Baghdad. And a group of Islamist terrorists, and I use Islamist because this is not Islam, they attacked the church. The first people they shot, murdered, were the soldiers outside, who were all Muslim, by the way. And they ran into the church and they killed over 100 people. Men, women, and children. Many women and children, actually. And they machine gunned and they threw grenades, and it was a slaughter of people exclusively for them being followers of Jesus. And we were taken to the church, and it was very deeply shocking. It was still in a terrible mess in all sorts of ways. I won't go into details. And the floor was littered with shrapnel and shell casing. And one of the people who was with me, looking after us and so on, I said, "Is it okay if I take some?" And then he said, "Oh, please." And I brought back with me those years ago a piece of shrapnel, and there's a spent bullet, shell casing. And I often have these with me, and in my prayer life, each morning when I say the morning office, I have them in front of me. And I have them here because they're a tactile, a tangible reminder of what sacrifice can mean. These people were simply worshipping Jesus. They were there to literally drink from the cup, as we will in a few minutes' time, and receive his body and blood, and in so doing, they paid the ultimate price, which was the other form of sacrifice, the other drinking of the cup, sharing in the pain of Jesus. And we should remind ourselves that this does go on. And we should be so very happy that for most of us, I would think, thank God, we will never face that. We'll never face that sort of sharing in the cup. We'll never face the pain of running into a burning school to rescue a child. We'll never be attacked by fanatics in the name of the version of the Greek religion. It'll be the small sacrifices. And we're not all called upon, and I pray I'm not, to make those great sacrifices. But if we want to really be authentic followers of Jesus, we have to be willing always to drink from that same cup, whatever would be asked of us. What defines us as Christians, as surely this gospel passage insists, it's saying yes. It's being open to saying yes to whatever is requested of us. Are you willing to drink the cup? The same cup I will have to drink of. If you say yes, yes I am. Yes I am, whatever it is, however deep it may be, yes I am. Then you know him. Then you're with him. Then you're part of him. And he knows you. Thank you.